Well, the one and only Senator Rand Paul is with us. Hello, Senator Paul. How are you?
Good morning, Glenn. You've got some pretty hip intro music. I really didn't peg you for being that hip, though.
Well, I'm not. It's just the intro music. Senator, first of all, have you done any digging at all on the Saudi national that we have been talking about at the Blaze? Have you?
The only thing I can tell you is something I heard verbally, and it wasn't a secret or anything. It was just told to me verbally, was that some are saying that they put the block on him or the deportation order in order to keep him at least for a few hours so he didn't seek asylum in the assembly. But then they're still asserting that there wasn't anything wrong with him, that they checked him out, but they put the deportation order out there as a precaution so he didn't go to the embassy.
Senator, please do me a favor. When you have time today, go to Peter King's office, please, and look at the 2123B. He was marked as armed and dangerous. The 2123B is the highest out of this is right up your alley, man. The Patriot Act is where the 2123B comes from, which means you have to have a panel looking at all of the evidence. This is not the no-fly list. It says that he is armed and dangerous. He is a terrorist of the highest order. It's not like they were interviewing him. They went in and took bags of stuff from his house. For 9 hours, they searched his house. For 5 hours, they interviewed his neighbors. There's something wrong here, something very wrong. They also tried to, it says on the 2123B, when they made that 2123B designation, they made it the next day, not the day they were interviewing it, after they searched his house. That's when they made this 2123B. They designate him on that, and it says on the 2123B also has another file connected to him. So in other words, he's popped up on their radar before. There's something very wrong, Senator. Very wrong.
Well, no, I think there's a lot of things that we need to get to the bottom of, and that's why, I wrote a letter to Harry Reid this week saying we need to relook at, while we're looking at immigration, maybe for the first time, look at people who come here on refugee status, people who come here on student visas, and make sure they're being adequately screened, because we had 2 refugee asylum seekers who came to my town in Kentucky, Bowling Green, from Iraq, and then it turns out they were plotting to buy Stinger missiles to attack us. Then it turns out, we find out one of them's fingerprints were on an unexploded IED in the database, and nobody bothered to cross-check it. And this has been my contention all along. We are spending so much time looking at 300 million Americans that we're not spending enough time doing targeted police work on people who might attack us. And, there's a database called TIDE, 450,000 suspicious activity persons in it worldwide, but only 20,000 of them are in America. I think we do need to spend considerable time there. And if they do leave the country, like when the Sarnaev brother left the country, apparently there was trouble getting it in the database because his name was misspelled.
Well, here's a real problem. First of all, I don't believe that his name is. I don't think that was the reason why. I mean, Jenna Napolitano said they were pinged. They just didn't do anything about it. The real problem here because I know we want to talk a little bit about immigration. The real problem is we have 75,000 people here on student visas. 75,000. Out of the 75,000, those 75,000, by the way, are from hostile Muslim countries. Out of the 75,000, 15,000 of them have not shown up to their schools. Now excuse me? That's a pretty big deal. That's not even including all the people that are coming across, other than Mexican, our southern border, that we know are here.
Particularly, it's a big deal when you think about, you go back to 9/11.
Yes.
Quite a few of the 9/11 attackers were here on student visas,
yes,
not going to school also. They reassured us they were going to fix this and look at it. They keep telling us they have, but all I see is patting down 3-year-olds who are in wheelchairs.
Thank you.
In the airport. But I don't see that there's necessarily been extra precaution. In fact, I'll tell you 2 things that President Obama discontinued. He discontinued something called NSEERS, which targeted 25 countries to look more closely at the students visiting us and have more scrutiny. That was ended in 2011. They've also asked to defund the Armed Pilots Program. I talked to a pilot the other day when I was traveling. He says, yeah, I was in it for 7 years. I was in the military, but they make it so darn hard to renew it. I have to go to an out-of-state shooting facility to renew every 6 months, and then they make me travel to New Mexico to get the certificate.
Jeez. The other thing that they have done recently is they have added on this, expedited list, they have added Saudi Arabia to a list that Germany and France and Israel aren't even on, that pretty much allows you just to swipe your passport when you come in, no vetting, no questions asked. That's new as of January 13th from the Department of Homeland Security. Why is Saudi Arabia on that list? I mean, that's where all the hijackers came from. That's something disturbing.
And that's the anomaly we have. We have several Middle Eastern countries where the governments have been relatively friendly, but a large section of the population doesn't like their own government and doesn't like our government or us. And so you really can't, because Saudi Arabia is a friendly nation to the United States, you can't give them a free pass on coming into the country without significant scrutiny. In fact, every manifest of every flight into the country internationally, that's where we need to be spending our time, looking at those manifests, calling the people up, asking them what they're coming here for. When you go to Israel, it's very polite and it's very thorough, but they know who gets on the plane, and they have a discussion with them before you get on the plane.
Let me ask you this, Senator, something that you said this week that I don't even understand. You said that you don't have a problem if a drone shoots somebody or a plane shoots or a police officer shoots somebody. That's not your problem with the drones. I have a real problem with. I'm not anti-technology. I'm starting an internet company, and so I'm not anti-technology. I think you give the power of drones here in the United States to the federal government to be able to use and shoot people from, you're one step closer to your nightmare scenario. They were already saying with this guy
I don't disagree with you. I tried to describe it last night when I was on Fox, and I said, I think George Bush described this best. I was misunderestimated on this. But what I was trying to say is, and I used this hypothetical in my filibuster. So people are saying, he contradicted his filibuster. Well, if you look at the filibuster, 3 or 4 times I use the exact same wording and exact same analogy. What I was trying to describe was a gunfight. It's a gunfight where someone's coming out of a liquor store and shooting at the policeman. Most of us acknowledge that police have the right to shoot back and to use deadly force against criminals who are using deadly force against them or hostages or customers or what have you. The point I was trying to make is there may be a day where the policeman, instead of getting out of his car, pushes a button and some kind of robotic firing arm, which may fly, comes out of the car and is able to engage in the firefight instead of the policeman getting out of the car. That's what I'm imagining, not a drone from 50,000 feet dropping Hellfire missiles on these people.
I got news for you. If that ever happens, the Second Amendment is absolutely dead no matter what, unless we at least have fully automatic weapons, because that kind of technology into the hands of a government keeps their people.
The thing is we have technology. Like, for example, if there's a bomb in there, nobody seems to complain about using a robot to dismantle a bomb. If there's a hostage situation and there's a way that a small automated flying vehicle can be sent into a hostage situation. So it's not the technology, it's the circumstance. What I was arguing against in the filibuster was targeted assassination who's from someone not engaged in combat. Someone's running down the street shooting at people with a gun, and there's a manhunt going on. You don't have to at that point say, we have to go get a warrant. No, that's a deadly situation when the police have always been recognized they can respond, club, spear, what have you. It's not about the technology. It's about the circumstances and how we protect the Bill of Rights.
And you may in the end be right. I am against it because I don't want to give this government any more power. I don't want to give any man any more power. We saw it. I mean, this guy, and I feel bad. No, I don't. I feel like John Adams here. In fact, in the shot heard around the world in Boston, John Adams found himself in the same situation that I felt like I was in last Friday when they said, we're not going to give this guy the Miranda rights. We're not going to Mirandize him, because, He's an enemy combatant. I got news for you. He's an American citizen. If you're coming over from Saudi Arabia and you're not an American citizen, see ya, dude. See ya. But if you are
I've been very vocal with saying that we shouldn't charge people as enemy combatants, American citizens, that's what separates us from them.
Yes.
That's what our soldiers are fighting for, is the Bill of Rights.
Correct.
And absolutely, we give trials, and that's what separates us from them, and really us from even a lot of other democratic countries who don't have really a significant right to trial by jury. We do, and it's what makes America special. I'm confident he can be convicted in a court. As far as a Miranda, is there some kind of special exception? There probably is. If, a bomb has been set and it's going off, or a hostage is being held somewhere else at a location and going to be killed, to ask them a quick question in an emergency situation, where's the other hostage, where's the gun, where's the bomb, things like that. But most of the time that doesn't even preclude prosecution because there's other evidence to prosecute with.
Well, I want to be very careful on the slippery slope here, because we were talking to Jeff Flake yesterday, and I think Jeff is a really good guy and an honest guy, and one of the guys really on our side on the at least financially on the subject of immigration control. He's like, well, we're gonna build that fence, and no, they're not. No, they're not. And I don't want to give any more ground because they haven't done the things they're supposed to do in the first place. When you start doing the things you're supposed to do, then come back to me and talk to me about what else you want to do. I mean, I feel like my father when I say that. Glenn, when you get everything done, what you're supposed to get done, then you come back and talk to me about something else you want to do.
Well, we're going to have an amendment called Trust but Verify that does exactly that says, when we can trust and see that certain things are done, that the offense is committed, then immigration reform takes place. So we're going to make immigration reform dependent on certain things that happen, and the way we know they happen is going to have to be voted on by Congress. So our amendment will bring back, and they will come back to us and say, is the offense completed, and then we will vote on it. And so it won't be just a stamp from the president, Republican or Democrat. It'll be a vote by all your legislators saying the border is more secure this year than it was last year, and that we're making progress on all of these X, Y, and Z, and then immigration reform continues to proceed.
Wow. I don't think I agree with that one either, because I don't think it's strong enough. But
then I'm going to have to work on you.
Yeah, well, I don't think... I'd like to reverse that table. I'm going to have to work on you, and I hope the American people work on you.
Yeah, here's the thing, Glenn. The reason why we have to fix immigration is because last year 65,000 people came in to pick crops with a work visa.
No, wait. Now, hang on just a
million.
I know that.
500,000 came in illegally.
Look, here's the thing. Senator, you don't have to, and I said this to Jeff Flake, you don't have to treat us like a group of people who have not watched the news. We know this audience is one of the smartest and most active audiences in America today, and maybe in the history of America. We're very, very well aware of the facts, and we're very active. None of us are saying that there's no problem with farmers not being able to hire people. We know because our own kids are like, you want me to do what? Yeah, go out and work. Try, I don't know, go pea vining. What do you say you pick a strawberry? What? I think that's beneath me. So we get that. Make the door bigger. Make it easier for people to come in legally. We get that. But the problem is sealing the rest of it off. That's the problem.
Well, you're right. You're exactly right. And that's what I'm trying to tell you is that conservatives like myself aren't going to be for this unless we secure the border first. And that's what I'm attempting to do with our amendment. Our language will come out sometime in the next week or so. We want to have it out there for several weeks so people can look at what we're trying to do. Instead of trying to secure a portion of the border, we're going to make them secure all of the border. Instead of suggesting they write a report if the fence isn't completed, we're going to say the fence has to be completed, where it was previously already authorized and they aren't doing it. We're also going to say that when you're caught crossing the border, you don't get a traffic ticket and you're not asked to come back. You are held till you have trial, because most of the people aren't coming back. And we're also going to have amendments that say if you go in to apply for federal welfare, the states have to check you against the work visa data bank, so you don't get it if you're in the work visa data bank because you're not eligible. Same way with driver's license. If you come in with a driver's license through Motor Voter and say, I want to register to vote, it will be mandatory that they have to check you to make sure that you're eligible to vote instead of just saying, oh, he's got a driver's license, he can vote now. So there are things that we're going to add to this to give it more teeth. And then hopefully there are parts of the bill that do make the work visa problem go away, where we won't have 65,000 officially enter, but 500,000 enter illegally every year.
Okay, Senator, could I ask you if you would consider doing something?
Sure.
Would you consider, when you have that bill ready, giving that over to us, let us put it out on glennbeck.com, theblaze.com, let our viewers read all of it, then come back. We'll let them comment on it. We'll read it, in advance. Let's do this whole democracy republic thing the way it should be done. And then you come back, we'll have our questions, and then you answer the questions.
Absolutely, because the thing about it is that's the way it should work. Because I hear every day things we do, and people will say, oh, you could make it a little bit better. We take suggestions all the time on how to make legislation better or what legislation to introduce. Now, we don't win a lot of battles because I'm in the minority up here, sometimes the minority of the minority, but we're perfectly willing to do that, and we do want to get it out, and that's why we keep telling them, don't rush to this thing. Let's don't get it and pass it before we get a chance to talk about national security, refugee status, student visas, and whether or not the work program is fixed. If the work program is not fixed, then we're going to be going through this again in 10 years. But that's what we have to discuss. And a lot of it's the details. How do we fix it, and does it work?
All right, so let's I will reach out to your office, and maybe I can reach out to FreedomWorks because they have the infrastructure to be able to build something where people could comment on certain sections where we could go back and look at those, so it's not just a bunch of comments underneath. We know what's related to each section. To make it easier to
right.
To
and
pull it together.
The main general category that's different is Congress will vote on whether the border is secure and mine, and immigration reform will be dependent on that vote. That doesn't exist in the current bill, and I think that's a flaw of the current bill. Then there will be details within how we secure the border that I think make it a little stronger or significantly stronger than what they're asking for.
Senator Rand Paul, thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Glenn.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye. This is the way it's supposed to work. This is the way it's supposed to work. You're supposed to be able to have everybody read the bill. Have everybody able to participate in the bill. And, I can't say that I'm interested in it, but let's see it, and let's put tripwires on it. And then we can say we're going to support it or we're not. We can each make up our own mind based on some facts, not personalities.